Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, about to be joined by Ken Weeb from the Winnipeg Free Press. Together, we are Kenny and Renny, and this is the Kenny and Renny late night edition of the post-game show after the Winnipeg Jets just keep going and going and going. Another Rick Bonus special, another blueprint game as they come out and they grind and they play the game the right way and they handle it for the entire game. And it's just another one of these victories, whether they score first, whether they don't score first. One of the things I'll say about them is if you're trying to find a difference in the two games that they play, when they get scored on first, there's usually a movement by the lower lines, the third or the fourth line, and they come out and they push their way. They play the game the right way, grind out a goal. Then there's another one, and usually it's a little bit of a closer, tighter game. When they score first, what it does is it kind of allows them to just lean and lean and lean for the entirety of the game. The other team gets frustrated earlier, feels they need to score their way back into the game, start abandoning their structure. The Jets capitalize and pounce on them abandoning that structure. And that's when you get those 5-2 games that we've seen a lot of from the Winnipeg Jets. I believe that was the score against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know. I'm a little bit, I had to abandon the Jets and go to the Vancouver Canucks broadcast tonight. I'm in St. Louis right now. Did that game. Good game to see, because I'll tell you this right now, the Vancouver Canucks broadcast team very upset with me because the Canucks are 0-1. Or 0 wins, 1 loss with Renny as a host. And it just so happens to happen on a night where the Winnipeg Jets win and the Vancouver Canucks lose. And now there's another team behind the Winnipeg Jets in the standings, as I believe the only team left above them in the Western Conference standings. That would be the Colorado Avalanche, who are 1 point ahead, but are giving up 2 games in hand to the Winnipeg Jets. Points percentage-wise, the Winnipeg Jets, the only team right now in the Western Conference over 700. Other teams joining them over 700 in the league are the Boston Bruins, who have the same winning percentage as the Winnipeg Jets at 703. The only team ahead of those two teams is the New York Rangers, who have a 716 winning percentage. A New York Rangers team that one of the teams that was able to escape with a win against the Winnipeg Jets this season. That's a different team a long time ago. Different situation. I can tell you this right now. The way I feel about the Winnipeg Jets, I don't think there's a team in the NHL that knows how to game plan for them. And the reason I say that is, once again, now we're talking about 27 straight games the Winnipeg Jets have allowed 3 goals or less. And what that means is essentially the Winnipeg Jets have been playing their game. And this is what hockey is, people. It's a battle of styles. One team brings a style, the other team brings a style. Those styles clash. And sometimes when those styles clash, one team can force the other team to play their game, and they can still end up losing. We've seen that a couple of times. After all, the Jets in a new franchise record for games with great games straight with a point. They're 8-0-2 right now. That's a new franchise record. But even in the games that they lose, it's a Winnipeg Jets style game. It's not the opposition style game. It's the Winnipeg Jets style of game. And what that means is they're dictating the play. Their style is winning out every single night. And you are not going to win every single time your style wins out. But the chances of you winning, if the game is your style, are massive. And we're talking about the Winnipeg Jets having enforced their style on their opposition for 27 straight games now. This is what you're seeing is ludicrous. It's ludicrous what the Jets are doing right now. Like, we've seen dominating stretches, and let's not get too crazy here, because the Boston Bruins just had the best regular season we've ever seen a team have last year. But I can tell you this right now. I covered off the Vancouver Canucks tonight, who are a top team in the West. And I can tell you right now, their game doesn't look like the Winnipeg Jets game. The Winnipeg Jets game looks like the Jets playing their style, sometimes in a domineering fashion. But even when they're not on top of their game, they're still pretty much in their structure. So they're either on top of it and bowling over their opposition, or they're, maybe looking, I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but looking like they're not pushing anywhere near 100%, but they're still in that style of game. What I saw tonight in covering this Canucks game, a game they lost, by the way, 2-1, against the St. Louis Blues. This is a game where the styles flip-flop, right? Sometimes they're playing Canucks hockey. Sometimes they're playing St. Louis Blues hockey. I would implore people to look at games from that perspective and take a look at the Winnipeg Jets at any point during a game and say, are they playing the other team's style of game right now? When they play the Colorado Avalanche, are they playing a Colorado Avalanche style of game? I Off the top of my head, the last time I can think or see it happening was the Edmonton Oilers at the very tail end of their game against the Jets, that they were down 1-0, got, I won't say a fluky goal, but it was a leaky goal through Connor Hellebuyck. Darnell Nurse scored, and that changed things. And then at that point, the Edmonton Oilers imposed their style of game on the Winnipeg Jets, and it ends up being a 3-1 victory for them. Other than that, I can't think. I can't think of many times in I don't know how long that we haven't seen the Winnipeg Jets playing Winnipeg Jet hockey against their opposition. It's remarkable. You don't see this happen very often. If you've got the Sportsnet Plus package, people, and you want to take a look around the rest of the league and take a look at other teams' games, watch, and what you will see is a clashing of styles, but that clash of style usually means this style sometimes comes out on top in the game. This style comes out on top. That's not what we're seeing from the Winnipeg Jets. And it is just truly remarkable what we're seeing from them. Want to talk about Connor Hellebuyck quickly as well, because Ken said he would be here at 12:50, and he's not. He lied. He's a liar, Ken Weeb. Anyone who denies it, I can show them the text where he said he'd be here at 12:50. So you just get more of Renny. Lucky you get more of Renny. But I want to talk about Connor Hellebuyck for a second here, and I will say this because I a lot of times when I have national media asking me about it and talking about it from the outside, they'll take a look at the numbers, and people, I think, know how I feel about this from the show. But I think a lot of people, knowing what the Winnipeg Jets have been for a number of years, take a look at what's happening and the fact that the Jets are only allowing 3 goals or less for 27 straight games. And they're thinking it's Connor Hellebuyck, right? Connor Hellebuyck is doing, and he's, always been this amazing goalie, and this is what it is. And we knew this is what it was going to be. Elliot Friedman's been, really on the train of like them re-signing them and the importance and how happy are the Winnipeg Jets that they have Connor Hellebuyck. I'm not denying any of those things, but I'll say 2 things that exist at the same time in my mind. I don't like that narrative because I don't think it gives credit to the Winnipeg Jets, their players, how they are defending, how hard they are making it on other teams to score. So I don't like that narrative for that reason, because I think it diminishes the accomplishments of the coaching staff, this blueprint, and the players that are playing this blueprint to a T and grinding and not straying from that structure the way that I said at the beginning of this, because it is truly phenomenal how they are doing that. But I will say the style that they are playing under, you have to give Connor Hellebuyck credit for the idea that he has essentially turned himself into the perfect goaltender for that style. Connor Hellebuyck's style used to be having a team absolutely flounder defensively in front of him, hang him out to dry, and he would stand on his head and do this. Now he's he's always been the big and boring and quiet, but the key moments of the game, and tonight was a perfect example of that. Absolutely huge glove hand robbery towards the end of the game there. Connor Hellebuyck has adapted to the system and become the perfect goaltender for this system. There's no denying that, and it is a huge reason why he is selected as the All-Star, the first All-Star on this Winnipeg Jets team. I will say I don't think for a second that it will be the last. That's my take on the whole thing. Time to bring in the man with the best music in the business to hear what he had to say about tonight's game. Here comes Kenny, people. Ken Weeb, I'm glad you're here because you're looking like a Vittorio Rossi, man. I assure you, if you watched the Canucks broadcast earlier on tonight, I too was looking like a Vittorio Rossi, man, but I just could not continue holding up the lofty ideals of being a Vittorio Rossi, man, this deep into the evening, and that's why I've changed, and I'm kind of in my near sleeping attire here in my hotel room in St. Louis. But hey, all you people out there who are stronger and better people than Renny, you could head on down to Vittorio Rossi on Corden Avenue and hold up the ideals of being a Vittorio Rossi, man, by walking into the building, loudly proclaiming that Kenny and Renny sent you and asking Frankie and the boys to do you up right. And that's exactly what they'll do. Ken, you are out there. I was going to ask I forget what the name of the barbecue place was. I was going to ask if you hit it up. I hit up the Blue City Deli that I always talk about and had one of the most crushing blows of my life today, Ken, as they've taken the meatball sandwich off the menu. It's only a special item and it was not on today. So pray for Renny, mourn for Renny. This is a tough day for him. Whilst I mourn and feel sorry for myself, Ken, tell us about the game and what you saw tonight.
Thanks for the tap dancing. Sorry, my timer was a little bit off here, trying to make.
I hung you out to dry for it all.
1 a.m. deadline. Good to hear. Yeah, I mean, interesting game. All the talk this morning after the morning skate was how the Jets had such a poor start against the Sharks in that game last month here that they lost 2-1. Rick Bowness lamenting that they gave up 9 scoring chances in the first period last time, and they don't usually even give up that many in an entire game. So just an impressive stretch of hockey there for sure. Connor Hellebuyck's solid. Power play, we've been crushing the power play for basically almost the better part of a month now, and they deliver the game winner. So kudos earned where they are, kudos given where they are earned. And the Jets deserve that today. Just an absolutely beautiful seam pass by Nikolai Ehlers to Gabriel Velarde. Just really impressive stretch by the power play. Good movement before that too, Sean, I think. So it's just a team game. I thought was once again solid. They did not give up a whole lot. Not an exhilarating game, but solid overall. So I mean, I would say this is one where the Jets template was on display for a good chunk of the game when it came to 5-on-5 play. They don't think after the start there was a stretch in the second period where they didn't really generate a whole lot, I didn't think, but having said that, they found a way to get the equalizer from the fourth line again. Surprise. There they are going to the net, and Morgan Barron scores his 8th, and then the power play comes through big, like we said. I mean, that was, hey, when it takes your top unit for the Jets more than a month to go between goals, there's going to be a bit of a breath of relief or a sigh of relief from that grouping. And now I'm curious about what that will mean, Sean, moving forward. Now, do you exhale and now find a way to get back to crisper puck movement and, getting on a bit of a roll? Or what happens from here? I think I'm seeing a lot more positive things from the Jets power play of late. Now, of course, it has to do it, as Gabriel Velarde pointed out. Now you got to do it for an extended period of time because, going a month between goals for a top unit is not going to cut it in most leagues. And I think the Jets are, like I said, it was not a full template game, but I would say for the most part they did not give up a ton in the game for most of it. But they got a little bit frustrated, it seemed like, from Mackenzie Blackwood, but then they found a way to get a couple pucks past them and found a way to get the job done.
Well, no doubt the Jets power play got the pristine wake-up call and looked really good. Here's something. That pass that Nikolai Ehlers makes to Gabe Vilardi is a pass they had really tried a lot last game. This is a wrinkle that they built in and they were really pushing for. So I believe it was you who was talking after the last game about their power play and suggesting that you were seeing progress. I had thought that was a good take on that. That was one of the things that I was seeing that they were trying for and that they were getting close to, and they find it on this night, right? It is interesting how the power play is something that the last time the Jets were struggling with it and they had a little bit of a breakout, we were starting to see them do the right things. This to me was one of those times that we saw that. Ken, is there faith in you? And again, I'll bring it up, the pristine roofing wake-up call goes to the power play, and they heard it loud and clear, and you know what that means. Time to give North End Rick the pristine roofing wake up at 1-204-981-6289. He's the guy that you want down at your place if you have any roofing, siding, exterior needs, because he's the guy that Pristine Roofing sends out to tell you exactly what you need at your place. But you can also call Pristine Roofing at 1-204-237-7663. Get them down there. They are pristine. The name means something. Is there a reason to believe that this is going to build, Ken, or was this a one-off that we saw a wrinkle added to it? They capitalized on the wrinkle. Other teams will shut that wrinkle down, and we go right back to the frustration that we've seen from that power play for some time now.
Yeah, I would say it's more likely that the Jets get on a little bit more of a roll when it comes to the man advantage. You definitely got a sense of relief when I was speaking with Gabriel Vilardi post-game, and, even Brennan Dillon, the fact that the Jets were able to kill off a couple of Sharks power plays in the contest. Yes, they gave up a couple of, too many grade A looks during that span, but overall, basically, as Rick Bowness pointed out to me, Sean, they'll take it any way they can get it right now, and often in this sort of situation, all a group needs is one to go in. And, I would have said it would be more likely, Sean, for them to, get a quote-unquote lucky goal, one that bounces off somebody or whatever else. But oddly enough, it's a seam pass that ends the drought for the top unit. But I would think that it's going to get them going. Mark Scheifele, getting a power play point, I think, is important for him. He had gone 4 games without a point. We know we've been praising Mark all year long, and again, I don't think that his play, fell off a cliff by any stretch during that span, but he just wasn't quite as dangerous as he had been earlier in the year. But you still saw other parts of his game pushing through. So to me, the fact that Josh Morrissey got a couple of absolutely great looks on the man advantage. So to me, I think the top unit is, figuring out how to use Gabriel Vilardi. And again, Vilardi praises Ehlers. It's just a beautiful pass, and he's just it's a backdoor tap. But that's a tough pass when it's either going beside or through someone's skates, and you need, when you're struggling on the power play, if a play like that doesn't go, then you're looking skyward, much like Vilardi was looking skyward last game, where he went to the backhand and was robbed by Andrei Vasilevsky. So I'm seeing positive signs. Rick Bowness called Tuesday's power play the best he's seen it, and he also thought the movement today was fantastic prior to the goal. So I would be leaning towards them, starting to inch their way up when it comes to the man advantage and getting some things going on the power plays. So yeah, again, some of it's, every team has good penalty killers in a lot of the cases, even the teams that are near the bottom of the standings. So to me, I think they're starting to turn the corner, Sean. Now, it's about, sustaining that and showing it for a longer stretch of time. But I would say that it's an important situation for them to start chipping in and chipping away at the rough patch, if you will.
Chipping away at the rough patch. I like that. Fourth line. let's move on to that. This is just absolutely phenomenal. I think 5 straight games with a point, and just the kind of, Kevin Sawyer on the broadcast absolutely nailed it. This is the kind of goals that you get in the playoffs. We've talked about this in the past. I won't even say the term that I coined anymore, Ken, because I know that there's a drinking game out there within the Kenny and Renny chat room where people take a shot when I say the term. So I'm not going to say it anymore because those people, their takes are bad enough. They don't need to add the alcoholic fuel on the fire. They don't need to be taking the shots on top of it. But I will say this. Those kind of goals the Winnipeg Jets used to score, that I would say time and time again, this is not the way from the Mandalorian. This is not how you win in the playoffs. This is not the kind of offense that gets you anywhere. And I think pretty much what we've seen from the Jets' results in the playoffs over the last number of years, I think that was a pretty good assessment. And hey, I believe I coined the term "that shall not be said." It may have even been started like, I think it was the first year of the show. Anyway,
how long until the header the handle? How long until the handle shows up in the chat room tonight?
There you go. The name that shall not be spoken.
Maybe a T-shirt. Sounds like you've got a new T-shirt idea here.
That would be a pretty good one.
I think it's a good T-shirt.
I'm going to walk around with that. It's a great shirt to wear to the bar. Ladies, stay away from the snake charmer. There, I said it. Have a drink, you filthy animals. Anyway, but
first of all, over 300 people at 1:06 a.m.
They're crazy.
Pretty good.
These
Come on,
people are
Good
crazy.
job. Good job.
These people are crazy. There's something they're waiting for.
Pat yourself
and we're going to give it to them. We know what a lot of people are here for. You're going to get it. Don't worry about it. It's coming. But just to go back to the fourth line, the type of offense that they're generating, the type of offense the third line is generating. It's another night Adam Lowry goes out, draws a penalty. Rick, North End Rick, who, if you haven't given him the wake-up call, give him the wake-up call for this, because I thought this was just a great point out that he made. How often that third line goes out and traps the opposition in their zone, and then who's the first guy off the ice to the bench to change and try and catch a tired line with the Jets' most dangerous line? It is always Adam Lowry who runs to the bench at the perfect time. Jets still have possession, and he goes and gets Mark Scheifele out there. So Mark Scheifele gets to skate out onto the ice and face a team full of opposition tonight, the San Jose Sharks, who are absolutely gassed and get to continue a shift with like a huge advantage. To me, this is better than a power play. When you get this situation, when guys are gassed, especially the way that Mark Scheifele can work the boards with his teammates, absolutely phenomenal. But the way that is just such another way that Adam Lowry leads by example. This is not about him. This is not about him saying, "Oh man, we've got these guys against the ropes. I can smell a goal coming." This is a guy being like, "Oh man, I've got these guys against the ropes. Let me go and get the guy who's got the strongest knockout punch on our team and go get him on the ice so that he can take my glory in this moment." I just think that's phenomenal. And transitioning to the third line, I'm not even going to say it. You know what I'm thinking about this, but this is just another night. Think about this. The Winnipeg Jets top lines, for the most part, other than the power play, have gone silent for quite some time now, basically post-Christmas. And here we are talking about win after win after win by the Winnipeg Jets, because a system that allows 3 goals or less, and let's be honest, for the longest time it's basically been 2 goals or less, means that anyone can be a hero. All you got to do is go out and get 1 goal. And so Dominic Toninato can be a hero on a night like tonight. Morgan Barron's the hero. I think Lowry was the hero by drawing that. The power play. Hey, your power play can be a game winner in a game where you only score a couple of goals, because you have the kind of team that grinds things down. But this, once again, is just a Jets win that the bottom 6 of this team has a really huge part of.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And shift length is something that kind of dates back to the Paul Maurice era, and the Jets are doing a way better job on it tonight, and this season in particular. But they can do it because they have confidence in all 4 lines. Sean, Brennan Dillon called the fourth line of the Jets an identity line today. And when you and I think of identity lines, we think of, the burgundy line for the Boston Bruins. We think of the St. Louis Blues being able to play their fourth line against Patrice Bergeron in the Stanley Cup final in 2019. I'm just so impressed by, the Jets' ability to find a way to no longer have a treading water type of situation for their fourth unit. They're out there producing. They're producing zone time. They're producing offense. They're producing positive momentum for their team. And, today they produced the game-tying goal in a game where the Jets looked frazzled and wondered if they were going to beat Mackenzie Blackwood. Will they get goalied again? No, because their fourth line gets to the net. The Jets go D to D, and Neil Pionk has 9 shot attempts in the game, and Josh Morrissey has 6 shots on goal and 8 shot attempts. So very impressive. We've talked about it for a long time. Dominic Toninato has his point streak snapped, but as you mentioned, the fourth line scores for a 5th consecutive game, and that's. I think we'd have a hard time finding a stretch, Sean, in 13 seasons where the Jets' fourth line had a point or a goal in 5 consecutive games. So for me, I'm impressed by what they've done. Third line, very good once again. Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton, excellent. Only a bit of frustration for Appleton. Had that great early chance, and immediately looked skyward. This is a guy that's gone close to 20 games now without a goal after his outstanding start. So there's a little bit of frustration there for Appleton when it comes to the offensive game, but he's still able to contribute in a lot of other areas, and still making an impact even on nights where it's been tough for him to find the back of the net. But like you said, I thought there were some great cycle shifts by that line that really kind of got the momentum going for them after they had fallen behind, and that was really essential for them to kind of get things going.
Ken, we haven't done this for a while. I want you to give Sweet Lou a shout out, and then I want you to tell me if you're buying or selling tonight. Get at it.
Yeah, right on. For all the folks who have realty needs they'd like to have met, go see our main man, Lou Ferlin at Real LePage Dynamic Realty. Tell him Kenny and Renny sent you. Whether you're buying, selling, or curious about what the market's looking like as you head into 2024, you can reach him at 204-791-9971 or at the office, 204-989-5000. His email is lou@louferlin.ca. That's LOU@LOUFURLAN.ca. Lou Ferlin, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, including this podcast. Right. I am buying the Jets penalty kill, getting out of the bottom third. Right now, I think they entered the game 27th. I'm seeing them going towards the middle of the pack as we move forward here. I don't think it was their best effort today, but one of the things you and I have talked about for over a month now, Alex Iafallo now in this mix with the Jets. He's often killing with Adam Lowry, and they've kind of gone to a couple of different pairings. Nemesnikov is a little bit more involved. So to me, again, I don't think this was their template on how they want to defend on the PK. They gave up some really good looks, but I do think that they're trending. I'm buying the Jets moving from that 27th range into the 18th to 20 range. I think it's too late for them to get in the top third. I'm moving them into the middle third and then sort of seeing what happens.
Love this by S. James, who says if Sean is going to procrastinate and drag his feet on the Snake Charmer shirts, I think he should get a friendly visit from Mr. Ferlin. Hey, that's the last guy you want to mess with. So I take that as a very serious motivation, no doubt. I'm buying on what I said earlier on in the show. Connor Hellebuyck, to me, has transitioned his game. He talked about it at the beginning of the year. He was trying to find a way. In retrospect, it's kind of fascinating the way that he's been able to fit in the system that this Winnipeg Jets team plays. There's a lot of goaltenders out there who like high pacing. I will say this, a number of years ago, he told me he thought he had the capability of being both a high tempo goaltender and a slower pace goaltender from what we're seeing from him this year behind the Winnipeg Jets. He said I can't remember which was which, but when he was playing junior with the Jackalopes team that he was playing with, Odessa, and then when he was playing college, one of them he was essentially that team hung him out to dry, and one of them was a really good defensive team. He said he played both those styles before he reached the NHL and embraced it. He told me at the time that it was important for him to do that because he knew when he got to where he was going, he saw that some goaltenders were only capable of being one way or the other. He didn't want to be that guy. He wanted to be an all-around goaltender. He's proving it here right now. I said it earlier in the show. I'll say it again. I'm buying the idea that Connor Hellebuyck has tweaked his game to be the perfect goaltender behind the style of play that this Winnipeg Jets team is playing. And again, I say that the style of game that they are playing is one that deserves massive amounts of credit for how good this team is at shutting things down. I hate the idea of people putting it out there and trying to suggest that the Jets are keeping teams to 3 goals or less because of Connor Hellebuyck and Connor Hellebuyck alone. This is every single guy on the Winnipeg Jets, from the last player, from the guys who aren't even in the lineup and get in the lineup every once in a while, right up to the coaches, right up to everybody. This is a complete and total team effort, and why the Jets are so good like that. But I am buying Connor Hellebuyck having tweaked his game and turned into the perfect goalie for this system. That's my take on it. Before we do move on, hey, Kenny's water bottle with maybe the best ever request I have seen for Sean's headband. He says it's 1 a.m. Aren't you coming to bed? Question. Soon, honey. I'm just waiting for a guy on the internet who's talking about hockey to put on a headband. Who am I to keep Kenny's water bottle up any later than he needs to be? So you know what time it is. Time to make this a Sean's headband version of the Kenny and Renny show. Let's hit it. I'll tell you this. If you've got good comments like Kenny's water bottle, and I don't say that often because Kenny's water bottle is always on me on this show, but if you've got good comments like that, you know they're going to pay off. And hey, if you're looking to pay off high interest credit cards or debt, we suggest you go talk to our friends at Cambrian Credit Union about their payoff loan. They can show you how taking out a loan to pay off your debt actually gets you debt free faster, and you can save thousands of dollars. Go to cambrian.mb.ca to book an appointment online. Okay, Ken, it's time to get to this.
Sorry, hang on.
I have to get to
couple quick things. Sorry, you talked about Hellebuyck, and I posted the link to the story in the comments, but just some incredible words from so many teammates today. And vintage Gabriel Velarde. He doesn't go with the excess word count, Sean. When I asked Gabriel Velarde what he thought of Connor Hellebuyck since becoming a teammate for the first time this year, he needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Best goalie in the world, period. That's how I'd describe him.
Yeah, pretty simple. Pretty simple. That's all it takes.
Just thought it was fantastic, and again, this isn't about self-promotion, but
it is about
really happy with the piece I was able to write on Connor Hellebuyck's All-Star season, and Lauren Bressois was just absolutely fantastic discussing this topic today. So if you haven't checked it out, please do so in the Winnipeg Free Press. And yeah, it's great to be out here. I love this barn. Like I've said before, Sean, 2016, I was in this building when the Sharks advanced past the St. Louis Blues in Game 6 of the Western Conference Final, making it to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time. The place was packed. It was unbelievable. The atmosphere right now is not like that as they're rebuilding here, but I love coming to this rink, and it makes me think of that all the time. So anyways, that's wrapping up the formal portion of the proceedings here, and I know we have some other stuff to discuss. Yeah,
let's get at it. Here. I'll let you go first.
I think you should.
On this one. No, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Unless you just feel like you cannot. But I was going to there's people out there. I know last time I took exception to people calling Mike Russo a clown on the internet. And there's a lot of people who got really mad at me for doing that, Ken. And there's people who are asking at this stage now, after he's done this, if we still stand behind Mike Russo. And let's add to it the Sportsnet colleagues of ours, Jennifer Botterill, who's one of them, fabulous Jen, who we both think the entire world of, and also Sammy Cosentino, who until very recently, Ken, was a favorite on this show, an absolute upper level get on this show that people adored. And Jamal Mayers, another colleague of mine who had comments and weighed in on the Hartman situation in a way that a lot of Jets fans aren't going to like.
I'll start.
Yeah, go for it.
First and foremost, we don't always agree with every take of our friends in the industry, Sean. I just want to get this out of the way early. When we say don't attack someone, I don't think that we're asking for much other than common courtesy. I understand people rev hot and get upset, and it's a hot take society we live in. I understand all that, but Mike Russo, I've worked with him at The Athletic for 9 months. I've been his friend for since 2011. This is someone who's been nothing but kind to me. He is an incredible writer. I don't agree with his take on the Hartman situation. I spoke with him on the phone today. We had a good chat. The temperature is hot on Twitter, or X, let's just say. When I say don't attack Mike, I think it's more about common courtesy, but it's also about being a good human being. I mean, you don't have to agree with someone, and we're all for healthy debate, Sean. It makes our show better when we debate, as they debated last night on the show, and I'll get to that in a minute. But again, I don't agree with Mike's take on the Hartman situation, but I also know that there are other factors at play, and sometimes what you write on Twitter is a fleeting moment. So that's why I think you thought it was important that we have a platform for him to share some thoughts. I mean, context is something that is rarely available in 280 characters on X, so we'd like to give people an opportunity to share some other bigger contextual thoughts. When it comes to the debate from the locker room, yes, it got intense and emotional and heated, and for some, lots of people were weighing in on that itself. I mean, part of good TV is sometimes conflict and confrontation. Again, it was pretty clear that it was, you were on either one side of the coin or the other. These are our colleagues. We have great admiration and respect for all of them, but we're not always going to see eye to eye on the situation. I thought Sam Cosentino was pretty clear that he thought it was, kind of low end that Hartman went after a guy like Perfetti. That's not all that he said, but that's one of the bigger things that I took out of the conversation. I think Jen Botterill is one of the smartest people in our industry in hockey, and I'm thankful to call her a friend. I've known her for a very long time. I was at her last game of the Olympics in 2010 in Vancouver as she set up the game-winning goal of the Olympic Games to buy Marie-Philippe Poulin. We've spent lots of time with her during that Stanley Cup run, Sean, and I thought that Jen had a very measured and smart response. I understand I've got no problem with retribution in hockey, Sean. We both played the game for a very long time. I did not play at the NHL level. I didn't play at the pro level, so often I defer to other people that have. But in this situation, it's not about picking sides for me, but in my opinion, I think that Jen handled this situation incredibly well, and my views align with hers in most situations here. And I like I said, I'm not here to take sides, but if we're asking what my view is, I think my view generally leans to Perfetti being an innocent bystander, and quite frankly, Sean, I don't particularly care for and it wasn't being talked about necessarily by Sam or Jamal, but the discourse today being that somehow Cole Perfetti is a rat, and now in a game where we should be talking about something stupid that Ryan Hartman has done, now suddenly Cole Perfetti is going to be targeted because he spoke out of turn. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you say something on the ice, you're going to tell your teammates, and occasionally it will be shared in the media. So I don't like that at all. And, Ryan Hartman got crushed today. And, some people are out there saying, oh, well, they're forming their own opinions. But I don't like how Hartman has conducted himself in the last couple of Wild games. This is not new behavior for him. If he wants to try to run Cole Perfetti and hit him with a clean body check, by all means. But I don't particularly think, intentionally slashing someone in the face off a face-off and then admitting it is really cool behavior. I think it's kind of out of line, out of date. And if Ryan Hartman or somebody else wants to send a message, they should go after someone their own size, for lack of a better term. This rivalry was good enough in itself, and I think that it's sad that we're talking about this rather than, what has happened. In the series itself. I mean, the Wild had a chance to pull within 4 points. The Jets won 2 games, and they're 12 points up. I mean, I understand why the Wild fans are upset. They're missing a ton of great players. Again, I don't know this for a fact, but I think you and I discussed this at length already. I can't see a scenario where Brendan Dillon's cross-check didn't exacerbate a prior injury. I cannot imagine that him leaning on him in the rib area with the second slash with no wind-up was something that knocked him out of the lineup for multiple weeks. Now, it's possible that it did, but to me, I didn't see a wind-up.
So wait, you're saying
I think that he had a previous injury that it was exacerbated by the cross-check. I don't think that type of leaning on someone's ribs would cause broken ribs or whatever he might be dealing with to get knocked out of the lineup. Again, I'm not a doctor. That's my interpretation of what happened. But regardless, I just first and foremost, I just think it's important for people. You can have an opinion. You can have an opinion that is a hot take, but be kind. I mean, we can have a debate, but don't attack someone. I don't think that it's, like people saying today, Sean, like, how can we associate with these people? This is ridiculous. We know these people. That's why we associate with them. Sometimes you can have a take that no one agrees with or you don't agree with, and that's okay. But I don't want, we talk about safe places and inclusivity, so I don't condone people attacking beat writers and friends of ours and colleagues if they don't agree with them. That's not something that I'm okay with, and I just don't like it, quite frankly. So, anyways, okay. That's a long trip to the buffet, and I don't know if I answered all the questions, but that's my feeling on the majority of the situation. And again, we haven't had a chance to talk about this today, but it's an important topic. It's what people in hockey are talking about, so. I'm happy to weigh in, but quite frankly, I don't like a lot of the discourse that's been happening the last couple of days. I'm more of a person who likes unity. I like people to get along in a conciliatory manner. I understand that that's just not happening right now, and there's sometimes nothing I can do about it, but I'm not here to hitch my wagon to someone or to say, yes, go Wild, attack that person, because I just don't think that that's right.
After we came out with comments about, when I defended Mike Russo, a lot of people, there was a lot of stuff on Twitter where I honestly go for a lot of my life lessons. And, I guess what I've taken away from this is, like, sometimes people aren't the people that you thought they were. Right. And sometimes, as it's been pointed out to me time and time again by people on the internet, people can be boiled down to one tiny moment in their life. And because of that, we should be abandoning those people. So I would like to, at this time, take this opportunity to formally proclaim I am cutting off my friendships with Mike Russo, with Jamal Mayers, with Sammy the Scarf. And the only thing I'm at this stage that I regret is that I didn't bring the friendship bracelets that I bought with those gentlemen so that I could bring them here and ceremonially cut them up, because because of a take that they've had at one point in their life. So I would like to say to everybody out there who said to me, how could you possibly be friends with someone who had that opinion? You're right. Whatever you're saying, I think you're right. I want your approval. I need your approval. So from now on going forward, please just let me know what you think going forward so I can agree with it. That player that you think needs to be moved up the lineup, I agree with you 100%. That player you think isn't good enough to play for your team, you should push them down to the minors. I agree with that 100%. I just need to agree with whatever you say, because this seems to be the message that we're getting over this course, over the course of this conversation here, that either agree with us or this is a brinksmanship type situation. If anyone is like missing the plot here, I think this is absolutely ridiculous what is going on here. If I'm in traffic and someone pulls a BS move and I pull up next to them in traffic and I look over, and in that moment, because this is what humanity is like, this is what human nature is like, I'm thinking, man, what an idiot that guy is for jumping lanes or something like that. Well, if that idiot is your dad or your best friend or your uncle or something like that, what would your response be if I said to you, you shouldn't be friends with that guy because he's an idiot, he pulled a stupid move when he changed lanes? Like, Mike Russo has been doing this since the 90s, okay? He's in a position he's in because of what he's done. Do I agree with his take? I don't agree with his take at all. But this whole thing with this brinksmanship where people are trying to like say that he's a bad person because he disagrees with you or what's happening with your hockey team, get a life. Like, coming in here and trying to like paint people as terrible people and paint people who associate them as terrible people, reevaluate how you're looking at things in this situation here. I'm going to tell you right now, I stand by my friendship with Russo. I stand by my friendship with Jamal Mayers. I stand by my friendship with Sam Cosentino. I will continue to do so. Any mean words you feel like spitting at me on the internet or in the chat room, keep doing it. I don't give a rat's ass if you think that. I've got a long relationship with these guys. And you know what? I'm an adult. I don't need to agree with every single thing that they say. You want to know what my take on that whole Hartman thing is? Like, it is ridiculous and it's stupid and the reason it is most ridiculous and stupid, Ken, is if Ryan Hartman is going out and slashing Cole Perfetti in the face to try and ensure that this never happens again to Kirill Kaprizov, go down the Jets lineup and name me the guy for the Winnipeg Jets who's thinking, oh boy, Ryan Hartman slashed Cole in the face, we better not mess with Kirill Kaprizov anymore. Is there one guy who's saying that on that roster? That is entirely ineffectual, okay? So I don't agree with that for 1 second. But this idea of people coming in and getting all hot and talking to me about people that I know, who I've got a relationship with, and I'm going to tell you something, I try to generally in my life, for the most part, and I think I do a pretty good job of it, line myself up behind people who are of good character, who handle themselves well, who treat me how I would expect to be treated, and I treat them the way they would expect to be treated. If you think I'm going to abandon those people because they don't agree with your hockey take, I say it again, get a life. Okay, this is ridiculous. Be an adult. Use adult words when you're handling the situation here. Would I do what Russo did where he was saying F off to a Jets fan? No, I wouldn't do that. I very often, when people come and bring BS to my doorstep, I just mute and I move on, right? But that's how Russo handles his situation. I know enough about Russo to know that whatever I have between he and I'm good with. Whatever I have with Sammy, who is a phenomenal human being, who has treated you, Ken, and your wife like gold for the entirety of their life, and him having a different opinion about this situation on a television program, for someone to suggest that it's time for you to cut bait on that situation, like, live in the real world here, people. The stuff that has been said about this is beyond stupid, and I can't believe that we're dealing with it at a certain stage. Now, if we want to get into the ideas about the situation here and whether or not we agree with what they say or not, I've had the conversation Jamal Mayers called me up and said he wanted to come on Kenny and Renny. He asked for it. This started, so tomorrow at 6:30. Is it 6:30? Did I say, Ken? No,
Russo 6:30. Yeah.
6:30 Central Time. So 5:30 Manitoba time. We're going to start the show. Mike Russo is going to come on, okay? And we're going to have a conversation with Mike Russo, and we're going to talk about this. I can tell you this right now. I think there's probably some things he'd like to correct in the things that he did, but I'm not going to speak for him. I'm going to let him do it himself. Why? There's someone, Ken, who was like on Twitter saying that like they would. I think I'm going to show up, but I feel like I'd be enabling the conversation. Why would having a conversation about this be like some terrible thing? Like, we can't talk about this? What is going on? Like, people can disagree. Jamal Mayers has an idea of how he thinks the game should be run. A lot of that is going to be based on the idea of when he played the game. Now, has the game moved on from when he did that? Is what he's suggesting may not work? That may be the case. That may be entirely the case, but he's going to come on and he's going to have his opinion. He's going to defend his opinion. I've told him, I've told Sammy, I've told Russo to be ready to show up on the program and ready to have their ideas put to the test, put to the fire. And every single one of them said, no problem. I'm coming on. I've got no problem with that. They know what they're walking into. They know they've got the heat that they're walking into. And you know what? I admire and respect them. Not one of them waffled on it. Every single one of them said they wanted to come right here in this case. I know you're all pissed off at them. I think what they're doing, standing up, coming into a situation and putting themselves in a place where they can interact with you and everyone in this chat room and ourselves and come to the place where people are mad at the most, I think is something to be lauded. I give them credit for that. Anyway.
Yeah, and just one other quick thing. I mean, Sam Cosentino and Jamal Mayers, they watch the Jets. These aren't people they don't want bad things to happen to the Jets. That was not the intention of the takes. So I just don't. And even Russo, he watches the Jets, he sees things in the Central Division. Like, he's not, anyways, it's.
Here, hold on a sec. Dan, the Jets fan, and I think people want to be clear on this. So I'm going to get this out of the way before I test the situation going on with it. Dan, the Jets fan says you are saying sorry. Dan, the Jets fan says, so are you saying you don't agree with Jennifer Renny? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm going to say that I'm here to represent myself in this conversation. I think the Hartman thing is ridiculous. Okay. But I also think that this needs to be looked at. I think what we're doing is we're pointing to the solution that the Minnesota Wild tried to get to in this. And we're saying that it was idiotic and people are fighting over the solution. I think the larger question is being missed here. Now, the issue that the Minnesota Wild are trying to deal with and doing so in a clumsy manner that I think they are failing at is the Minnesota Wild are trying to figure out how they can create a scenario by which they are not having their star player knocked out by a team over and over again. Okay. So I thought this was an interesting situation. I'm doing this game today with Dave Tomlinson, a former Winnipeg Jet. Okay. He does the color for the Canucks broadcast. Tomlinson used to play for the Winnipeg Jets. And the first thing he tells me is a story about when he was playing for the Winnipeg Jets. John Paddock had got pulled up for GM duty. So Andy Murray was the head coach, and Andy Murray, they were playing the St. Louis Blues, which is why the story came up. Andy Murray had put him on to shadow Brett Hull. Okay. So he followed Brett Hull everywhere around the ice, every shift. All he did was skated around him. Said Brett Hull was calling him every name in the book, stuck him, slashed him, did all these different kind of things. And then at one point, Dave's got the puck. He passes the puck. 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets lambasted. He gets laid out by Kelly Chase. And Kelly Chase says to him, leave Brett Hull alone. He says to him, okay, this is the old school. This is how they handled things. Okay. I'm not saying it's right, but I would say the people who should be able to argue and tell you whether or not that was right for that time are people like Steve Yzerman, who had Probert standing up for him, or Wayne Gretzky, who had Semenko. Like, those are the guys who can tell you whether that was necessary necessary in those days or not. I don't think that's the question now. I think the question is what works for this era. But what I will say, and I'm going to do a quick detour to NFL with this, in the NFL, they were losing star quarterbacks, the likes of Steve Young, Troy Aikman. They were losing those players because those players kept getting hit and targeted. So what the league did is they changed the rules to make sure that those players were protected. They treated them in a special manner. And what's happened out of that is guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady have had these long, uninterrupted careers where they get protected. Patrick Mahomes enjoying the same thing right now. And what happens is it drives you nuts as an NFL fan if your team is playing against it. But the quarterback releases the ball. There's a hit half a second later. There's no time for the guys to readjust. And what happens in that situation is the NFL, they're saying we're okay with getting the call wrong if getting the call wrong means we consistently protect our star players. That's how the NFL handles things, okay? Right now, the Minnesota Wild, and I think you can attach this because they're about to play the Ducks, you can attach this to the Winnipeg Jets. The game is a better place when Kyle Connor right now is in the middle of competing for a Rocket Richard trophy. That, to me, I said it on the podcast, it was a cheap shot. It was a cheap play, knocks Kyle Connor out. Going out afterwards in the situation, trying to like fight someone or do that, it doesn't get Kyle Connor back into the lineup. Some people are going to argue, and that's probably a conversation we're going to have tomorrow, that if you set the precedent that you scare a team and maybe even go and say, hey, take a look at Kyle Connor. You hurt Kyle Connor. Now we're coming for your guy. We're coming for Troy Terry or whoever, right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying people are going to debate that. Some people are going to say it's right. But what the Minnesota Wild are struggling with right now as a team is they are trying to find a way to stop the Winnipeg Jets from knocking their star player out. I will say unequivocally, the league is a better place with Kirill Kaprizov in it. The league is a better place with Kyle Connor in it. And I think the biggest issue that we're not talking about right now is NHL player safety didn't protect Kyle Connor. They didn't suspend Ryan Strome for that time. They didn't send a message that we don't want people. I would rather them get the call wrong and send a message that you can't do what happened to Kyle Connor. The same as I would rather them send a message that when if Kirill Kaprizov has his ribs broken by Brendan Dillon, I'd rather them get the call wrong and send a message that the NHL is intent on protecting its stars than not. Okay. So what I think is happening right now is the league is not protecting its star players. They didn't do it for Kyle Connor. They didn't do it for Kirill Kaprizov. You can argue that, that people are going to argue that. And some people are going to say it's apples and oranges. That's fine. But what I'm saying is if you put players in a position where they don't feel like the league is protecting their guys, they're going to go and try and find a way to do it. I think that's what we've seen from the Minnesota Wild. I think it's been clumsy. I think it's been ineffectual. I think it's led to a crap storm in the whole process here. And I think by focusing on the stupid things that have happened, the Hartman and Perfetti thing, we're actually missing the greater point of what should we be doing to be protecting the stars in the game. That's my take on it.
There you go.
Anything to say before we get into the Johnson Group got you covered play of the game, kid? Because we got to get going. I got a flight to catch.
Yep. No, let's move. Let's move on.
Okay. Johnson Group got you covered play of the game. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean there were several occurrences, but I thought that the block shot by Dylan Samberg, Sean, in the third period is my choice. I think it seemed like he got on the inside of the leg, and Dylan Samberg is a shot blocking machine, and we talk often that we don't talk about him enough, and I think this is a great example of one of those plays that your teammates notice with a stick tap when you get to the bench. It obviously stung him in an area where there's not a lot of padding. He battled through until Connor Hellebuyck got the cover and made his way to the bench and was praised by his teammates afterward.
Great stuff. I'm going to agree with it. And I'm going to say, hey, do you run a small business in Canada? Look to Canada's #1 employee benefits plan, Chambers Plan, to give you a competitive edge. Chambers Plan is the simple, stable, smart choice for over 30,000 businesses countrywide. Visit chamberplan.ca to learn more. Moving on, Ken, to the keg save of the game. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't even actually know who shot it. It was the play where in the second period, Sean, where the puck got behind Hellebuyck on the power play, but somehow he contorted his body and either got his stick or skate on it to kick it to the side before they could score with the man advantage. And, just given the penalty killing struggles the Jets have had, and after giving up two the night, the game before against the Tampa Bay Lightning, I just thought it was an important stretch there. And, if you give up a power play goal there, it's very deflating. So I think that was one that was it was important. So I like that as my save of the game. I wish I knew who actually took the shot. It might have been Granlund. I'm not certain, but that's my choice for Keg's save of the game.
Ken, you have the winners.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I texted you.
So,
but I'll
did you?
it.
Well, text it to me again here. I'll throw something out. Is it? I think you just said it, but the Granlund glove save. I do think it's one of those things where it's right in Hellebuyck's gloves, and I know that there's back in we used to make fun of kids in the 90s, right? Who'd make the glove save,
Patrick Waugh,
and then it would be like thrown up over the head and all that kind of stuff. And I would suggest there was
windmill,
a slight bit of that,
windmill,
a slight little bit of the windmill from Connor Hellebuyck. But to me, the beauty of that is there's almost nowhere for him to go. So I mean, I don't mind a little bit of the windmill if your glove is in a place where it's basically the only place that the shot can go. I think that Connor Hellebuyck did that. This is another one of those absolutely like kind of big and boring situations by Connor Hellebuyck. So for him to liven up big and boring, I've got no problem with it. That is mine and Ken's Keg save of the game, but that really doesn't matter. What does matter is your Keg save of the game, because if you do share that with us, you are automatically entered to win a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 Keg locations in the city, each location finer than the last. And the winner of the last show's Keg save of the game, that would be Ernie Thiessen from the chat. Congratulations, Ernie Thiessen. You know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your full name and your email, and I will send you a $50 gift certificate to be used at the Keg, any of the Keg locations in the city. There are 3 locations, each location finer than the last. I wonder if Ernie Thiessen is related to Nolan Thiessen, the curler.
I don't think so.
Yes.
But I don't think so. No, I think it's other. The other direction.
Is this one of these things?
More east than west.
This sounds like a southern Manitoba name, and I just assume you know everyone down there, Ken. So
Nolan's the other direction. Nolan's west. Nolan's west. I think Ernie's is more to the east.
Yeah,
tilting to the east.
Okay, moving on
Southeast.
to the lamplighter. What do you got?
Yeah, it's got to be the power play goal. I mean, I loved everything about how the fourth line generated the equalizer, but when you've been talking for over a month about how the top unit hasn't been able to find the back of the net, it wasn't snake charmer, but this is high end offense delivering, and the Jets have not found a ton of seams of late. So when they do find one and deliver a backdoor tap, that is the game winner. I mean, there's really only one choice in this game for me.
KRW says Journalist Brotherhood is alive and well on the Kenny and Renny show. KRW, you damn right. That's a good one, Ken. We'll leave it at that. But what Ken thinks, it doesn't matter, as it shouldn't on this show at any point of this show. But at this time especially, because what really does matter is what you think was the TCB lamplighter of the game. Because what's that?
Just one quick one. It's not just Brotherhood. We also stand with Jen here in this situation too. So folks who just think it's hockey guys standing with hockey guys, it's not just that either. So just quickly.
Well, I mean, she's a journalist. She's in the Journalist Brotherhood as well. I don't know. I mean, there's some people who aren't going to be happy about this. I just don't want to leave any room for
interpretation. That's all.
Sure. There's some people out there who aren't going to be happy until we say that person that doesn't agree with you, we hate them. Okay, so if you're waiting for that, I guess you're going to have to keep waiting. Anyways, lamplighter of the game. Ken shared his. You should share yours. If you do, you're automatically entered to win a frosty, delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. If you cannot wait for Kenny and Renny to give you your own frosty, delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale. You can head on down to TransCanada Brewing Company. Join them in their tap room at 11290 Kenniston, where we will be having the January 4 Fanuaries on January 22nd. Game Monday night against the Boston Bruins. Ken will be in Boston, but I will be there. And I can be a fun guy too. I know Ken is often the life of the party, but I can try to be the life of the party. I will try. Just come join me. See what happens. It's going to be a great time. January for Fanuaries. You're going to love it, people. And that brings me to announcing the winner of our Lamplighter from the last show. And that winner would be S. Watson in China. They're responding from China. Okay, listen, they're probably
it's
gonna,
a test now. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see if they can
claim
beat the
it.
clock. Can you claim it from China? You can. All you have to do is direct message me and send me your full name and email me. If you do that, you have won yourself, or I will send you a voucher for a frosty, delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale. Brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. Ken, I got to get going, but we'd have to remind everybody that starting at 5:30 tomorrow.
Sorry, I thought you said 6:30 to me in the text, buddy. So what? Russo and Jamal are in our time zone. So
yes, they're in our time zone. Here, hold on one second, people, while I go and I take a look at this. I've got a text from Mike Russo, which is going to just absolutely burn some people out there. Oh my God, he's texting them as well, texting the enemy. This is going to, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. But, I can't do it now, Ken. I'm pretty sure it's 5:30. I'd set it for because people got to be, or no, it's 7:00 East. Yeah. Yes. It's 5:30, 5:30 tomorrow. That's what we're looking at doing. 5:30. I'm going to be hopping on with Mike Russo probably at about 5:40. At 20 minutes after that, we are going to be joined by Jamal Mayers and Sammy Cosentino. We had asked Jen to be on the program. She wasn't able to make it. I've said to Jen, if there's another time she wants to make it work, we would love to talk with her. We want to represent all sides of this. We want everyone to be able to get out, have their conversation, have their say. And I'm going to make it clear before the next show, but we expect, I think that there's times that Mike Russo has not shown respect to Jets fans. I think he's trying to show respect fans by putting himself in a position where he can come explain himself and be faced by the people who may be upset with him. Same thing with Sammy Cosentino. Same thing with Jamal Mayers. I think they're being respectful to Jets fans. We expect the exact same thing. We also have mute buttons for people, or we can kick them out of the chat if we need to. We know in the past that the Kenny and Renny community has always been open to debate and open to respectful debate and having respectful conversations. We would expect nothing less as we bring in a heated conversation that a lot of people have showed interest in. We are looking forward to it. We hope you're looking forward to it too. That's it for us, for me here in St. Louis, and Ken in San Jose. Ken's got one more thing to say before we go.
Oh, you're going to say it. Don't worry.
Sponsors. Okay. I like this. The knee of KFC says Renny has fallen into the POMO time zone conundrum, and he's right. You know what? I take back everything I said about it being a bad excuse, jumping from time zone to time zone. Paul Maurice was right the whole time, as knee of KFC said. Hey, if you appreciate the conversations happening in this space, please appreciate the contributions by our sponsors who fight to keep the conversation going in this space for us. That's Vittorio Rossi, Cambrian Credit Union, Pristine Roofing, Sweet Lou Furlan, the Johnston Group, the Keg, and of course TransCanada Brewing Company. And hey, I know we got a little bit chippy, and hey, I think I pushed back pretty hard, and I don't take back what I said. I feel strongly about the ways that people were kind of pushing us to abandon people in our lives. I think it's ridiculous. I think if it was the tables were turned and someone was coming to you and saying to someone that you know and you know their values, they were trying to push them out of your life, you'd be holding up the middle finger loud and proud, as you should. But I will say this: I have a lot of appreciation for the people who come on this show, challenge us at every turn. I'm not telling you to think like me. I don't think you should think like me. I think you should think how you think about the situation. I think you should fight for that. If what I'm saying goes against that, you should fight me tooth and nail on it. And I have all the respect in the world for you doing it. I expect all of you to continue doing that, as both Ken and I will continue doing, and we'll grind our way through this whole thing, have some good conversations, hopefully shed some light on things, and keep moving on in a season that is becoming real special for the Winnipeg Jets. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 5:30, and don't worry about it. We'll get the show up early so that people can see what time it will be. We would love to see you all there. It's going to be great. Bye-bye.